All right, so quick discussion on recruiting and form and just sort of the kind of simple breakdown. And so what is form? What does form even stand for? Well, it's family, occupation, recreation, motivation. And so when we think about recruiting, guys, when you're on a recruiting call with someone, the the whole goal is to expose the nightmare and sell the dream. Now, what the hell does that mean? Right? If someone responded to a Facebook post, are they, and they asked for information, are they open to it? If they reached out to you and they asked for information and they want to know what's going on, they are open to it. Okay. That means they need you more than you need them because they're the ones that reached out to you, period. Right. And so when we talk about family, right? If we sit down and we're having a conversation with a new recruit, and I say, "Hey, Jen, hey, look, it's so great to meet you. Kind of, super excited to kind of go over everything with you today. I saw you had commented on Michelle's post. When you commented, what was the thing that kind of caught your eye the most? Like, what was that question, right? And so I'm drawing this out. I'm reminding her about why she asked for info in the first place and the whole reason that she came to talk to me. And I'm making her say it. I'm not telling her. She's telling me because if I'm telling, I'm what? And this goes for everything. If I'm telling, I'm what? It rhymes with elling. If I'm telling, I'm selling. Okay. So every time I ask a question and somebody tells me the answer, it's the truth because they said it. Okay. Because they said it. And so when I ask someone about family, I don't just say, Jen, tell me about your family. Hmm. Say, hey, I mean, Jen, listen, we'll kind of get into a few things, but I kind of feel like if I'm going to ask you something, I kind of owe you, right? Some information. So, I mean, I'm married, kids, dogs, cats, whole 9 yards, right? My wife and I have been together forever. I just retired from the army. Been doing this for a while now. Tell me a little bit about you, right? Like, what do you got going on? You got, husband, kids, brother, mother, sister, dogs in the area, whatever. What am I doing? Right? I'm giving so that I can take, but I'm also listening for the market. Because if I sit down with Jen and she says, "Oh yeah, I'm single, I'm a cat lady, I hate people, and I really just want to do this so that I never have to leave my house again." Okay, well, now I'm hearing these things and I understand that she's probably fairly introverted, will most likely never talk to anybody, has no one to talk to, right? And so I'm listening for the market. Conversely, if we sit down and Jen goes, "Oh yeah, like, my husband and I have been together for a long time. I've got, 18 beautiful children, 39 grandchildren. We all live right here in Fishhawk and nobody ever leaves. I have an unlimited supply of market to both train and then for Jen to continue to train within immediately, baked in, built in." Okay. If I sit down with Michelle and she goes, "Yeah, we got people here, we got people over in Florida, we got people up in Pennsylvania and DC and Zimbabwe and Cairo and Brazil," and I'm going, "Holy hell, I've got a market that's very dispersed." And so now I have to figure out how am I going to best leverage the training that's most beneficial for my new recruit, most beneficial for me, gets her the most exposure and then still leaves her a massive market to train in now that she's licensed. Okay. And so that's what you're listening for. That's what you're listening for. Do I really care if she, spends 3 minutes talking about how big her family is? No, because I'm writing all that shit down. I'm tracking all of that. I'm listening for all of that. Right. So that's form, right? And so occupation, how do we transition and start talking about occupation? Right. So Michelle, hey, you said you were commented. Remember when you saw the post and saw like spare time, part-time, full-time? And this goes back to one of the questions, like why we ask someone what they're currently doing for work, right? You're sort of pre-forming and you're making sure there's no direct conflict of interest in terms of what they're already doing versus what they're going to be doing with us. But now you're just listening. Hey, I mean, you know, Michelle, what do you do? Oh, you're an analyst, right? And so now I know very intelligent because you don't get to work in that, area without being very intelligent. And, what, how long you been doing that? Oh, track record of being very good at that, right? What, what do you love about your job? And then shut the hell up and just listen, and people will tell you everything you need to know, right? Oh, I get to set my own schedule. It's only part-time. I get to, sort of work autonomously. I get to, run this and that, right? Man, that's amazing. How'd you get so good at your job? How'd you get so good at that? How'd you get so and just shut up? Guys, people's like top three favorite subjects of all time, one of those top three is themselves, period. Let people talk. Okay. And and then you can kind of keep pulling that thread and it just kind of depends. Right. And now this isn't like a 45-minute thing. This happens in probably the span of about 6 minutes, 6 to 7 minutes. Not making a joke, but like somewhere in that range. It happens fairly quickly. And well, I mean, but think about it. They love their job, they're very good at their job, but they still reached out to you. So there is something that if you gave them the magic wand for a day that they would change. But I mean, Michelle, let's be honest, like if you could change something about your job, what would you change? And invariably, it will be the commute, the money, right? The time, the politics, the people that they have to deal with and work with. One of those things is something that they would change if they were king or queen for a day, period, right? So occupation. What do you do, right? How did you get so good at it? What do you do? How'd you get so good, right? Compliment. What would you change? These are important things because this is what's going to give you leverage to come back with. Because if Michelle tells me, "Oh, the money's okay, but man, I would if I could change something, I wouldn't go to work every day, and I would be able to set my own hours and and." Write that down because then when you're coming back and you're having a conversation. So I mean, Michelle, let's be honest. If I could give you that same ability to earn the same amount of money or more, but you could do it around your schedule with no commute and no office politics, like that would be interesting. Am I right? Yeah, right. Girl, my commute's the reason I wanted to change too. I had a job lined up working in the same exact place where I was as a lieutenant colonel. They wanted me to come right back as a GS. And I said, no, thank you, because that's a 3 hour commute daily, round trip, hard pass. If I was going to just stay, why would I have even retired? Right? I don't want to do it. Okay. And so but that I wanted nothing to do that. Plus, I wanted to be able to control my schedule. 1,000%. I was done asking another man if I was allowed to take vacation. Sorry, right? I just I didn't want to deal with that anymore. Okay. And then these last two are ones where like this is where you can kind of see like I mean you can do form really and sort of like bypass these in a lot of ways. The recreation is like, well, what do you do for fun? Right? What do you do for fun? Right. And this one you're just really again leveraging something to be able to use against somebody because that's not the important question. This is the important question. Why aren't you doing more? That's the important question, right? Michelle, do you remember me asking you those questions? You remember me asking you these questions, right? So, well, what do you do for fun? Awesome. Are you doing enough of it? Why aren't you doing more? Right? And invariably, they're going to tell you the answer. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough this. My spouse and I work on complete opposite schedules. We see each other for like an hour a day. I hate it. Right? And then motivation. This goes back to the why are you here? right? Why are you here? And this is where you help people start dreaming again, right? We don't dream as a society anymore because we're told to stay in our box, work our 9 to 5, pay our bills, make enough just to take our 2 weeks of vacation, if we can even use our 2 weeks of PTO that we're hopefully granted every year. That's why, right? People don't dream anymore. People survive. And that's the difference. And so when you start thinking about motivation, you want someone to think like, I mean, man, Michelle, like what would you do with an extra $1,000 a month? Right? What would you do if you had two, three, 5 times the income that you're currently making right now? What would that change for you? And guys, I will be completely honest. I would just, oh, no way. He just took his, dang. Guys, that's special, right? We're all in like, I mean, literally, Jen and I are the only ones in Florida. Michelle's in Maryland, Matt's in Indiana, Angel's in North Carolina, Angel's in Alabama, Haley's in South Carolina. We're in 6 different places around the world, and we just got to be here when one of our friends just had their baby take his first steps. How cool is that? That's crazy. That's crazy. But think about it. Like when you start dreaming again, it's actually hard, right? Andy asked me very on early on in the business. He's like, bro, what are you gonna do when you make 25,000 in a month? And I was like, "Pfft, what? I chuckled, right? And I can still remember the night we were sitting in the hot tub at the old house, and Melissa and the kids, we were all sitting in the hot tub, and Melissa asked me the same thing. I think because Andy's really smart and he texted Melissa to ask me that same question. And so we were sitting there, and she goes, what do you want to do when like we make 25 grand? Because we had made like 17, 19, right? And I was like, I honestly, I don't even know. I don't even know. And so we agreed that like the first month that that happened, everyone would get a G-bone, right? $1,000 cash, pff, go do whatever you want. What I mean, I'm talking to everybody, right? From me to Melissa to Emmy at that time was like 8. And it was just like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Oh, I don't know, right? We'll go to the mall. So me, right, being the joker that I am, I offered the kids a deal. I said, listen, everybody's going to get their $1,000, but whatever you give me back, I will double it and put into your Roth. So I had fun with that one, right? Because Evan's like, he's like, oh my God, I could take 2,000, but I want to spend some. So right? He's like, but if I take 500 and give it back, that's really 1,000, and I've still got a 500. So he's the logical one. So he gives me back 500 immediately, and I put 1,000 as Roth, right? And so, but the girls are right, they're fun, so they went ham. They went ham. And there was no rules, right? It was, have you ever guys ever heard of a no day, like a no or a yes day? Opposite. Yes day, right? Yeah, yes day. Well, it was a yes day for sure because it was theirs. There was no stopping it. Right. So it was a yes day. But I couldn't fathom that. Like it just didn't like that was not registering in my brain even when they asked the question. And so it was like, okay, well, I don't know. Because Mel has said, what do you want to do? I was, I don't know, save it. Like, but she's like, no, that's boring. What do you want to do? And I said, nothing. I just work for it. I don't want to waste it. And so like, look, even for me, like it's hard to sort of like break out of that. And that's okay, right? We have to condition ourselves in like operant conditioning happens. It has to happen, right? It just takes time. And so form is very important. But here's sort of like the overall like macro idea behind a recruiting appointment, guys. Your job is to expose the nightmare and then sell the dream. When someone joins Primerica, they are not joining Primerica. They are joining you. They're borrowing your belief. They are looking at you and going, is that really somebody that I think can take me from where I am to where I want to be? Period. Right. And so you have to be able to present that. And what I mean by that is from from your social media to you as a person to how you present yourself in all situations, like that is constantly being evaluated. People are always watching. Someone is always trying to figure out if you're the one that can get them there. I promise you. And so they're they're always looking at you going, okay, is that somebody that can take me to the next level? Is that somebody that can take me to the next level? And even if you are sitting down with someone and you don't know that you can take them to the next level, do you believe I can? Yeah. Right. Because like that self-doubt is going to creep in and someone is going to say, "Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I think I can do this, but I don't know." You say, "Hey, listen, I affirm, answer, close," right? I totally understand that. But I mean, Michelle, let's be honest. You believe that I can do this, right? I mean, you've been watching, you can see like you know that I can do this. I'm going to be with you every step of the way up until the point where you feel like you don't need me anymore. Okay? So if I'm going to be with you like at every step of the way and I'll be there to answer all your questions, would that make you feel better? Right? Would you feel more prepared if you to do this if you knew that I was going to be there with you? Yeah, of course. Perfect. Right. So here we go. Listen, we're just going to fill right what we're going to do. We're just going to fill this out. We're going to there's no asking at that point because when you've become confident in terms of what you're about to do, we're just doing it. Right? We're just doing, I'm not asking. We're just doing it. You're going to have to tell me to stop when it comes to what we're doing if we're filling out an IVA or if we're taking a life app. What we're going to do today is it's the assumed close. It's the presumptive close. I'm closing, right? I'm closing until I'm told to stop. I don't ask because human psyche, if I ask you, well, hey, I mean, what do you think? Even if you were ready to move forward, Jen, you're going to go, oh man, no, that's a great question. I don't know. Let me think about it. And then you're saying, well, let me, I don't, and but then you're screwed. You open Pandora's box. What do you think? I don't know. Let me think about it. I was ready to go, but now you're right. I should probably think about it. It done. You got like one shot after this. One, right? And they're still right because you offered it to them. But now you got to figure out how long is it going to take them to think, okay? Without sounding sort of like a jerk about it. Right? Hey, Jen, listen, I totally get that. I want you to think about it. Usually, when most people tell me they need to think about something, it's not about you anymore. Right? It's most people. Usually, when most people tell me they need to think about something, it's because they're just kind of unsure about themselves, right? And then you can sort of unpack that, right? Belief in me, if I can do it, right? You know that I can do this if I were there with you both, right? Or Or, and this is when you can kind of get into like timelines, right? And I stole this from Grant Cardone. I mean, Jen, let's be honest, like how long does it usually take you to think about things, right? Like you need like a couple minutes, you need a couple days, you need a couple months. And most people, right, if you take a couple minutes, a couple days, a couple months, that throwaway option, right? They're going to say, "Oh, no, I mean, probably a couple days at the most." And you say, perfect. So here's what we're going to do, right? I want you to think about it. I want you to write down every single question you could possibly come up with. We're going to rebook. It's Monday, like 9:30. Let's just get you rebooked for like Wednesday morning at 9. And we'll get back together. We'll answer all those questions and then we'll get you going. Sound good? And you rebook the appointment right now. Go in your calendar and rebook them an appointment for that day, that time, period. You don't wait. You don't send them a calendar. No, you immediately. That's your only shot. And from there, it's a coin toss whether they come or not. But if you're not, if you're missing that crucial step, and most people in this business do, because they miss the presumptive close. Boom, right? Here's what we're going to do. I'm just going to get you rebooked. You take it away, right? Most people are inherently passive, non-action taking, and don't want to make a decision. Most people. right? Most people. And so if you remove that from them and you make it easy and you just help them decide and you get it done and you do it for them, they it subconsciously just like takes a weight off of them. It's a decision they don't have to make. They don't have to clear their schedule. If they're there at that day and time, that's usually a good day and time. And if somebody's meeting you on a Monday morning at 9, odds on they're available Wednesday morning at 9, holidays notwithstanding, right? And so that's sort of like the premise and essence behind a recruiting appointment, right? Now, I know there's a lot more like technicality stuff that we didn't talk about, right? We didn't talk about an IBA. We didn't talk about somebody getting like signed up for a licensing class, and all of that will come. This is like foundational understanding of why. Okay. Now, some of the most common mistakes that you're going to make in the beginning, everybody, is you're going to talk too fast. Listen to the Listen to my like tonality, listen to my inflection, listen to my cadence, listen to my pace. Do I ever really change? You could probably set a metronome by the way I speak on most given appointments, right? And the only time I ever get excited and the only time I ever change that is when I want you to get excited. That's it. When I want to, you know, when I want to sort of bring in some form of emphasis. Didn't that sound weird? The way I said that, it sounded weird, didn't it? Isn't it emphasis? Same word. I just said it differently. But if I want you to pay attention and I want you locked in on something, I'm doing it on purpose. But other than that, I'm cool as a cucumber. Because if we're sitting down and we're having a conversation about money or a big decision that you're about to make just with your world, right? And I'm talking 1,000 miles an hour and you don't really understand what's going on. Well, it doesn't really convey a lot of confidence. If I have to speak too quickly, one, you think I'm trying to hide something. Two, you probably are assuming that I'm very nervous. Can't. You have to lock that down. You have to control that emotion. Okay. And so set and setting go into a lot of this as well. Understanding that what is behind you is important. Understanding that angles matter, right? My office is actually like the way this is set up, like we're sort of kicked off at like a 30-degree angle. Like the wall is not flat behind me because it creates depth. There's a window in front of me that lets in natural light. Like Jen, your office, I would rotate almost 180 degrees with your desk if you could. That natural light should be landing on your face.
We wanted to do that, but this thing will break
Built
apart if we move this.
built in, yeah. But I'm just saying, right? Like from a natural lighting perspective, I want that light on you. And then silly little things, right? Like a zoom light. It gets rid of shadows. I look 13 years younger with that light on. I'm just kidding, right? But you get the idea. Without that light, I have shadows. I look tired, right? Zoom has like a built-in touch-up thing for you. Turn it on. I don't care, right? Let the natural light help. Let the zoom light help. Let the zoom sort of like touch-up thing help. For probably 70% of the people you're going to meet on Zoom, you may never have a chance to meet them in person. Who cares, right? Who cares? Turn on a little bit of filter, right? People use Snapchat all the time. Ain't real. Just turn on that little bit of filter, right? Something else Ian always used to say is, look, you've got to dress up because you're going up. This goes back to if somebody pops on a Zoom, they're assessing you and they're judging you within the first 5 to 10 seconds of turning that camera on. How many of you have ever sat with me on an appointment where I was wearing less than a polo with a client? Never, right? I think the only time I can ever think of that I was wearing like a black t-shirt and jumped on with a client is because it was a recruit And the only people that were on the entire meeting was us. But even then it's rare. Even that, like, very rare, right? And if I did, it's a plain solid black t-shirt. It's all intentional, guys. It's all intentional. And so dress up because you're going up, right? You get one shot. It's kind of like Eminem, right? You get one shot, you get one opportunity. You get that one sort of zoom camera click on, boom. That's it. There, you're immediately being assessed, right? If you guys think that like somebody turn like pops on a Zoom and doesn't look behind me and they're not like reading these, trying to read these random things, like what? Oh, what is that? What is that? Right? They are. They are. They're 100% trying to do that, right? And so that's like those things matter, right? Those things matter. Lighting matters. And so think about that. Play with different spots in your house where you can set up a laptop and then set up your Mac or your whatever, right? Like that just became your office. And even if the thing behind you is not what you want it to be, well, cool. Blur your background, right? Turn on your video, blur your background. I didn't, oh, it's the wrong button. But even if my background is blurred, you can tell that there's something, right? It looks like an office. It doesn't look like a trash heap behind me, right? And so just simple things like that. Questions. Anything you guys need help with? You want me to go back over? You want me to cover? No? Okay. So here's the here's sort of like the framework moving forward. Tomorrow, I'm going to do a actual recruit call. And so I'm going to run a recruit call and then I'll answer any questions. We'll go over any sort of like how-tos, anything from that. And then I'm debating whether or not the next morning or or even if I finish early enough that day, we're gonna like reset and one of you is going to do it immediately. Okay. And so that's like the crawl, walk, run. Angela, so here's sort of my thought process on this. If you've been here the longest, you're going first, right? So I'm going to demo, and then Angela, you're going, Haley, you're going. And then from there, we'll see who's available and not driving a truck, right? Because again, I can't ask Matt to do that. I need his eyes on the road. And so that's sort of the plan. Yeah, and guys, yeah, if you're sick, then obviously. But um but that's sort of like the way that I'm thinking because everyone will get like an extra demonstration. Here's the rules. Okay? Just like if we were back in my unit and it's a training flight, we debrief, right? After every training flight, we debrief. There's no emotion, there's no feelings, there's no personal attacks. It's purely constructive, purely, right? Good can be constructive and corrective can be constructive. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, there's no personal attacks and there's no feelings. That's the only way it works, right? That's the only way it works. So that's the way that I'm planning to do this. And again, how long will we do this? I don't know, right? We'll do it until you guys are more comfortable and you guys are a closer replica and like duplicate of where I think you should be. And I think a lot of it is going to come down to not asking enough questions, talking too fast, and not being able to properly overcome an objection. I think that's the I think those are the biggest areas of weakness that exist. And that's not against anything of you guys personally. That's just in general. Because at the end of the day, right, we always say we don't sell anything. And that's very true. Because if you show enough value and you ask the right questions, somebody will move forward. But in the beginning, it's very hard to learn how to be good at sales, even though we're not selling. We teach very solid sales concepts because no matter what, it's sales. But so is life. All of life is sales, right? All of life is overcoming objections. Period. Period. And so that's what we're going to focus on. Okay. So I have some time this morning. I'm going to sort of like frame out what I think the rest of this week, next week, the following week is going to look like. But the thing that I don't want is I don't want us like distracted from still like the main thing has got to stay the main thing, right? We're still trying to hit 500 recruits. We personally need to hit 20, then 50, then 75. Okay. 20 by 20 is always the minimum goal, no matter what, right? Then 50 by 50. When we start hitting 50 recruits a month, guys, RVPs are naturally going to start popping out because you can't help it. If we do 50 recruits a couple months in a row, by the next couple months after that, we should be sitting closer to 70, 90, 100. Something we've never done is run a 100 by 100 base. We've never done it, right? Back in the $1 million run era, we were close. And with when like if you added in the splits and everything, yeah, we would have been closer to like 120,000 by 190 recruits or something. It was a huge month. But on paper, we've never done it because of the splits and the premium and the replacement and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's where we need to get back to because if we have numbers like that, you guys can't help but become an RVP. Period. And I'm telling you, senior vice president by convention is on my bucket list, right? It's on my vision board, and it takes three of you. I don't know if it's people that are on this call right now or somebody I haven't even met yet. I don't know. I would love nothing more than it to be everyone that's on this call. Senior vice president for us is a huge deal, but I promise you, look, if you take a regional vice president contract, it's a huge deal for you too. Huge. It's an immediate 50% pay raise. You get stock. It's crazy. It's crazy. And so questions, guys. We got 10 minutes. Matt, you said you had a question about a prospect.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Hmm.
Okay. So of course you know that we're coming back to Florida. Um, so my wife's boss that she worked for previously and is going to start working for, her husband is still in insurance. He worked for a big company, new owners took over, they cut him loose.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's starting his own insurance company, but it's not life insurance. It's auto and commercial.
Yeah.
It's P&C.
Yep.
So he's heard of Primerica, but I didn't know like if I threw at him about joining Primerica, getting his life license, and being able to offer life insurance through his
Yep.
company, would it be like a conflict of interest or no, just because it's a P&C?
Nope. And so here's how that works, right? Because I have I had an agent a while back who worked for a company and they only did same thing, right? It was only like commercial lines and home and auto. And so what happens in that situation is since there's no direct conflict of interest, they are allowed to have a life license, get investment license with us, mortgage licensing if they want. The only thing that they're restricted from using is Answer Financial because that would be like a direct head-to-head conflict. And so they can't use Refer Secure, but why would he care? He wouldn't get paid anyway. Right? So like do it through the brokerage. Now, the the only the only like weird ism, and I'll teach you guys something here really fast, is uh when when they're an agent, there's almost zero issues. When it becomes like broker level, that's when we have to start looking at like where there may be like conflict. And hold on. I always have to like go back and look for this because I never remember like where it's at. But there is a like huge massive chart. Oh, compliance. Ha, duh. Compliance, compliance US. It's down here somewhere. Hang on. Just hang on with me. I'll find it, I promise. Guidelines, guidelines. Conflict of interest. Yes. Under a minute. Okay. I knew I could do it. I know. Thank you for believing in me, guys. Okay, so conflicts, right? There's a whole like big chart. Hang on. Chart. Yeah, see? It's like I know this stuff, right? And so activity, insurance, probably something. Yes, maybe HI. Here we go. Insurance agency or owner, right? And then if you look up here, right? Life, securities, mortgage. Insurance agency or owner, right? Yes, it's okay with a refrain agreement. Refrain simply means I won't do it. May remain owner of insurance agency and continue to market P&C and or accident health under conditions, right? May not market another company's life, and then neither the reps nor agents working in or for the agency can conduct life business through the agency or in the office. That's because it is a direct conflict in terms of representation. Now, if if your buddy starts his own business and is doing PNC and somebody is there and he happens to sell a life policy, do you think Primerica is ever going to come back and say, where did you write that life insurance application? Was it in your office? Like, no, right? Because again, he doesn't offer life products of any other company. Okay. And then same thing here, right? So agent. All it says is yes with a refrain agreement. That's it. Right. So he's clear, right? He's good to go and it's right here. And if you ever recruit somebody, guys, that has a life license already, right? They come in, they don't pay the IBA fee, it's just 25 bucks. When you input their license number, NPN, license number, whatever, it just automatically puts the life license coupon on the IBA and it's 25 bucks. And it just activates their POL. It just builds their profile with us, right? That's it, right? Anybody with an active life license. And so plus you recruit somebody with an active life license and it's an automatic 30,000 points once they're licensed and appointed or once they're appointed, right? They're still entitled to a fast start just like everybody else, right? So reduced promotion guidelines and standards. Simple, simple, right? So definitely good for them. Any other questions? No, good. Okay. So Matt, for you, since you guys are coming back, I would we have to look at how we're gonna securities wise do your stuff because you can take a securities exam for Florida in Indiana. It'll be okay,
Okay.
right? I believe. I believe. I will call the securities licensing team and today and or even just shoot them an email and see what the deal is with that.
Yeah,
Um,
because on paper, basically, like looking
you
at like my POL, everything's still in Florida. My address is still
yeah.
in Florida.
Yep.
My license is still in Florida. So
Yep.
I didn't know if I could take it if I took it up here and passed my SIE and stuff, if it would be good for Florida. I didn't want to like mess anything up. So
No, it'll be fine. I think, and I will ask, and I'll get a solid answer. The only reason I think it's even like doable is because I know John Haidt passed his Series 63 in Atlanta when we were at convention, and he's a Louisiana agent, right?
okay,
And so it's possible. It's definitely possible. Um,
okay.
so more to follow, guys. Any other questions? Anything? Michelle, I know you're juggling. The baby juggle. No? Everybody good? Okay. Webs, honey, some like Theraflu. I don't know. You need to fix that voice, girl. But guys, massive personal activity, right? Everybody's been like recruiting layers and layers and layers and layers like away. We got to get back to personal. Angela, you saw what happened when you recruited like one personal recruit last month and it led to what, 7,000 in premium and three or four or five more recruits. That's what happens when it's personal. right? Because when you start personal, it's more organic. It just starts to grow. And so I'm doing it this week. I'm going back, right? I'm reaching out to a few people to ask them to post for me, get something up and moving, and we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. But I promise you, nothing's gonna happen if I don't do that. Distribution, right? Looking for distribution. Angel, are you just home right now because it's a holiday and you're not at work? Can you hear me? Yes, purple. Okay. I'm gonna start recording.